Hello, and thank you for coming to see my presentation of what's in your Zen-Venn. It is a tool that I've created to mark down and explain what makes me happy and use a tool called a Venn diagram to help me do so. And we'll get into that here in a minute. If you'll allow me to, I will share my screen and we'll go along and I'll tell you the story of my Zen-Venn. This is how most people look at me when I ask them, are you happy? Do you know what makes you happy? Are you a Zen master? Well, most people would say not. As a matter of fact, a recent Gallup poll suggests that 87% of people in the United States are unhappy. That is a mind-blowing percentage of statistics. I understand that happiness is subjective. I get that. As a culture, I think that maybe we're too greedy. Maybe we can't find our Zen, or we don't think that we're happy unless everything is in our life is perfectly aligned. And that's just not reality. I think maybe we benchmark the wrong people. You know, people, they are on social media showing how happy they are, but that might be just the root of the problem right there. Too many of us are looking outward at other people and comparing their quality of life, their status as a benchmark for them to live up to. As my friend Larry Long says, a big X right there, like the Family Feud. Survey says X, wrong. Inside of us all, we have a little voice. Hopefully not too many more than one voices, and hopefully not too loud. I know in my head, I have sometimes a lot of noise going on up there. Sometimes it sounds like a New Orleans funeral marching band, you know, going down Mardi Gras. Some people call that voice a conscience. Some people call it instinct. Or how about this? Some people actually call it God. I love that one. But we all need to learn how to tell the difference between the good voice or the God voice and the greedy voice. And perhaps more importantly, we need to trust it when it says no. So what I focus on is what I want for my future self. This is what I kind of practice here as much as possible. I even came up with a little acronym for this. It's called PASS, P-A-S-S. The letters stand for P for practice impulse control, which is avoiding instant gratification, like the dopamine rush you get every time you like something on Facebook, or they like something that you've posted, or maybe standing in line for the newest iPhone as soon as it comes out, even though you got last year's model that you stood in line for. The A stands for instant gratification, which is, again, more of these dopamine hits that we're just so used to with social media now, even for information, which is really great with YouTube and everything, that we can look up anything in an instant. But maybe do some homework yourself, do something the hard way. Sometimes learning something the hard way rather than looking it up immediately, it sticks with you better. And basically, you're doing all this at a sacrifice to yourself. So the P is practice impulse control, the A is avoiding instant gratification, and the two S's stand for self-sacrifice. Has anyone ever asked you when the best time is to plant a tree? Well, the right answer is 20 years ago. That way you could rest under the shade today. But if you haven't done it 20 years ago, when's the second best time? Today, right now, plant the tree. Next time you get a chance to spend some money on something that you would typically do on an impulse, try taking a pass. So basically that all kind of has to do with happiness, and we're going to get into identifying more of that stuff. But what is a Venn? What's a Venn diagram? Well, simply put, a Zen diagram is a tool that I use to identify, categorize, and measure things, actions, and values that contribute to my happiness. So basically you can replicate this yourself and put different things and actions and values and make different categories and topics of your own to see what makes you happy. I'm going to show you how to do that here. What does a Venn diagram look like? Well, a Venn diagram is a bunch of circles that each of them represents a different category and each of the things that we're going to fill in here are unlike components. However, where those components and those circles converge or overlay, they give more significance to each other. They make each other stronger. My Zen diagram that we're going to cover today has 4 components. The first one is body and mind. Everything starts with the foundation. What are you eating? Are you sleeping well? What are you reading, watching, or listening to? The next one is state of mind. Your thoughts become your words, and your words become your actions. Then the third one is organization. Getting our days and weeks on a calendar way ahead of time or simplifying our lives will give you more time for the most important component, which is relationships. Who are we associating with? Show me your friends, and I will show you your future. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to just ask 3 do you questions per circle. So there'll be 12 little actions, 12 little questions for you. I want you to rank each of them at how well you participate in each one of these do you questions. And they're going to do it very simple and easy. We're going to do it 1, 2, or 3. 1 point is I never heard of that one, Jeremy. What is that? I heard of it. I never do it. 2 is, yeah, I've heard of it. I didn't take. All right. I do it sometimes, not with any real consistency. And 3 is, man, I rock that junk, man. That's mine. I own it. So are you ready to go? Okay. Let's see how you do on my Zen-Venn. First question, do you have a regular sleep pattern? Coach Dan Cavalier in The Habits of a Champion writes about when he was a trainer with the New York Yankees. He worked with guys like A-Rod, Derek Jeter, and Mariano Rivera. And he compared the way that these elite athletes treated sleep to the CEOs and executives that he works with nowadays. And he tells us that they put these sleep dedications on very opposite sides of the scale. The athletes treat sleep like they do food or exercise. They treat it with the highest of regard. Where the CEOs and the executives like myself, we treat sleep very expendable. It's the last thing we consider. We put it off. We got to do too many things to do in a day. And if athletes treat sleep so well so they can perform at the top of their game, so should we. So how do you rank yourself? On a scale of 1 to 3, how do you treat sleep? The next do you question is, do you work out? Do you exercise? At least 20 minutes a day, 3 days a week. I don't even use weights, really. I think that weights are too heavy, okay? I don't like using weights. I work out pretty good. I do calisthenics, yoga, that kind of stuff. My wife would laugh because she would say I don't, but she's a gym rat, her and my daughter both. So I do my part. I've lost 20, 30, 40 pounds, over the last couple of years. I kept it off for a bunch of years. So I think I do okay with that, with working out. I worked out, probably give myself a 2, but what do you give yourself? 1, 2, or 3? Number 3, do you consume with a purpose? I'm not talking about just the food and the drink and the liquids that you put into your body. What are you watching? What are you listening to? What are you reading? These are all consumptions that dictate the way that we feel about ourselves or that we feel in general. Do we feel healthy? We feel positive, motivated, or do we feel sluggish and tired? And we feel depressed? And do we feel downtrodden because of the people who are telling us that we might be that way? Who are you letting into your life? Okay. So we're going to give ourselves a 1, 2, or 3 on do we consume with a purpose? So how does this translate to our circle? Well, here's how it looks for me. Sleep gets a 1 because I don't sleep that often. That's horrible. So that one goes all the way up top. Exercise, I could do more. I will tell you that. I get on my kicks and I stop it. Exercise gets a 2. Diet consumption for me gets a 3. I do a lot of motivational reading. I do a lot of motivational watching. Surround myself with a lot of positive things. I eat okay. I don't eat a lot. That's the trick. So I can eat badly because I don't eat a lot. So everything in moderation. So I give myself a 3. And that's where they line up there. And don't worry if you give yourself 2 2s or 3 2s or whatever. I'll show you how that looks. Just scrunch them together if you gave them the same mark, where, in the circle. And we'll get to that here in a minute. So let's go to the next circle, which is state of mind, one of my favorites. First question is a simple one. Here's a softball right down the plate for you. Do you make your bed in the morning? U.S. Navy Admiral William McRaven has a YouTube video called "If You Want to Change the World, Start by Making Your Bed Every Morning." In the YouTube video, Admiral McRaven says, making your bed gives you a victory. You get to check off a box first thing in the morning. You got a task that's completed. And worst case scenario, you have a bad day, you come home to a nicely made bed. How cool is that? Okay, so very easy. Get your mind going up right off the bat every morning. Do you make your bed? 1, 2, or 3? Next question. Do you focus on the task at hand? It takes 20 minutes to get into flow state. So these people that say they can multitask all day long, they're never getting into the optimal flow state that would make them more efficient, make them more creative, make you more passionate about what you're doing. Every time you stop doing something to start doing something else, you don't get into your flow. You get out of your flow if you're in it too. It takes 20 minutes to regain that flow state. So go ahead and grade yourself on how well you do at doing one thing at a time. 1, 2, or 3. And the third question for state of mind is, do you use motivational and inspirational quotes every day? Daily affirmations, automated email, YouTube channels. There's so much out there to choose from. Zig Ziglar says, motivation doesn't last. Well, neither does bathing. That's why he suggests doing both daily. So what are you doing to stay motivated and inspired? 1, 2, or 3. Okay, you ready to see mine? I'm going to pull back the curtain a little bit. Here we go. There's my state of mind. Make my bed, I give it a 2 because I'm on again, off again. I travel a lot. I have, hotel staff that comes in there and kind of does it. So I kind of do it half-heartedly. They're going to mess it up and make it again anyway. Or my wife wakes up first or second. I wake up very early, so I don't get a lot of chances, but I give it a 2. But the other 2, motivation and focusing on one task, I kill those things. I do those all the time. Even with my ADHD, or ADHD, I still try to focus on one task at a time. So there's how you group things together. The 3s are right there at the bottom. The 2s are in the middle. The 1 is at the top. We're going to flip it for these next circles. You're going to put the 3s at the top because remember, the things that overlap give each other more significance. You'll see what that means in a minute. But let's go to one of my favorites here, organization. This is when you're a control guy like me, organization is very, very important. So let me ask you, do you prioritize and execute? Jocko Willink writes about it in Extreme Ownership. Brian Tracy writes about it in Eat the Frog. And if you listen to one of my old mentors, he talks about acting at the speed of instruction. Speed of instruction means do it now. Don't be like Nike's lazy cousin. Right? His slogan is, right? Just do it later. All right. We don't want to do that. We just want to do it now. We want to do the hard things first and eat the frog. We want to prioritize, see what needs to be done, and then execute, like Jocko Willink says. How well do you do at prioritize and execution? 1, 2, or 3? Question number 2 for organization is, do you control the interruptibles? This is a huge one. Huge. Marcy Rader teaches us about these flow task killers. We talked about flow a while ago, but let me just go ahead and show you my phone. If you can see that, there are no red buttons going, hey, look at me. You got messages here, except for these 2, my phone and my text. That's all I care about. My family is trying to get in touch with me. My client's trying to get in touch with me, but no emails, no apps, nothing, no travel alerts, nothing on my Facebook going, hey, someone likes your hang in there kitty post, right? I don't care about that. I'll check my email and my post alerts when I want to on my time. they're not going to interrupt me and get me out of my flow state. How well do you do with controlling the interrupters? And I know this one is personal, number 3, but do you kiss? Well, kiss means keeping it super simple. Do you complicate things in your life? Do you make things harder by using all these different, platforms and copy and pasting, telling people to do it there, then go over there and do it there? There's so much integration available these days, especially like on a Google platform with Google Docs and your email and all your different types of. There's a Windows, I think, has a good stuff with OneNote, that kind of stuff. Collaboration, where people are all doing stuff in the same spreadsheet, for example, on Google Sheets. So are you making your life complicated, or are you keeping it simple? All right, let's see how we're doing here. The Jeremy Zen-Venn here. All right, prioritize and execute. A 3, taking those alerts off. A 2, and the keeping it super simple is a 2. You could always simplify things, always grind it, work at it, and get better at it, which is kind of the reason by putting it on here. If you can measure it, you can do better at it. And if you can't measure it, you're not going to do better at it. So this gives me an opportunity to put it here in a circle, to rate it, and then to consciously make an effort to be better at it. So I measure it. All right, last one, guys, coming to the home stretch. And this one is the most important one, period. It's relationships. It's the one thing that in this world that will make or break you. So, you down with HPP? Yeah, you know me. I always hang around with them high-performing people. That's who you have to hang around with. Show me your friends and I'll show you your future. You need to be looking towards the people who are doing or have done what you want to do. These are the high-performing people. You don't look around. If you're the smartest guy in the room, you're in the wrong room. You want to be the smartest guy in the room. You want to be the guy asking the questions of the people who are doing what you want to do. That's what I mean by high-performing people. And maybe if they're not doing what you want to do, they're still very successful people who know about failing and getting up and overcoming and moving forward and having a positive attitude. These are high-performing people. You might have somebody in your life that is doing what you want to do, but they're just a jerk about it. They're braggadocious. They have a big ego. That doesn't make them high-performing. It makes them jerks. And these are the people that you need to have out of your life. You need to have high-performing. You can replace the high-performing with happily performing people. How about that? I love that one. I just came up with one for the Zen-Venn. High-performing people who are happy performing people. Okay. I love it. There we go. I got a new one for the next group. Thank you. Well, grade yourself on how you do with hanging around the high-performing, happy people. Okay. All right. Then the next one is, do you practice being present? So if you happen to be lucky enough to be in the presence of a high-performing, happy person, put your phone down. Put your phone down, man. I can't believe how many times I'm in the room with somebody who just is a thought leader. And I look around at other people in the room and they're scrolling. You don't get this opportunity every day. You're in a room with somebody who is a thought leader, a trailblazer, somebody who makes a difference in the world. You're sitting across, they agreed to have lunch with you, or they agreed to be on a Zoom call with you. Pay attention, be present. Again, that goes back to focusing on one task at a time. So it all comes together. All these things, even though they're in different circles, that's what I'm talking about. They overlap, they have significance. How do you do with being present? And the last one, guys, we're here. Do you serve the people in your life? Do you have a server's mentality? Jesse Itzler talks about the 3 C's. He's constantly complimenting, congratulating, and consoling the people in his life, whether it's his family, his friends, his peers, his coworkers, his social network. He's complimenting, congratulating, consoling every day. Another thing is conflict resolution. Serving the people in your life means resolving the conflict, asking them with empathy when you think there's a problem between you guys. Okay. Ask with empathy, serve, humble, ask them what's wrong. What can you do to make the situation better? Conflict resolution, so important with being happy. All right, guys, last score, 1-3. How do you do with serving the people in your life? Okay, so drum roll. Here is my Zen-Venn. It's just kind of all over the place, right? I got stuff that I can get better with, and I've got stuff that I'm pretty good at. And again, those circles where they overlap there, they overlap right here, these circles. They have more significance. They complement each other. The things that are not in the circle, those are the things you need to get better at. If you decide they make you happy, I said they make me happy. So I have to get better at those if I want to continue to be happy. What could be in your Zen-Venn? You could replace this body and mind, state of mind, organization, relationship with totally different topics. And then you could put 1, 2, 3, 100 things in each circle. And then you could work on them. You see how this can be more than 4 circles. It can be 100 circles. Okay. But it's not always going to look like this either, guys. It's going to be moving. Sometimes I'm going to be thinking I'm in Zen Master. Some days things seem perfect. Everything I did, I killed at it. I did everything perfect. Everything fell into line. Other days, not so much. Okay, not so much. Other days, I'm lost. I'm depressed. I'm tired. Things aren't going well. But if you know your why, if you're comfortable with your why, if you know your core value, why you're doing things, walking in your core values every single day, you should not have a problem with your Zen-Venn and being happy. Mark Twain has a quote that I like: whoever is happy will make other people happy too. My buddy Abraham Lincoln has said that most folks are about as happy as they make up their minds to be. So I ask you, the viewer, the contestant, the student, my contemporaries, what is in your Zen-Venn? What's in your Zen-Venn? Do you know what makes you happy?